now it is.
Oh, okay. Didn't know it's like, you're good? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the year 2016, and women have been on factory floors, in wars, in space, in every other imaginable career. But traditionally, women were only thought of as housewives, and now they can be anything they want, even President of the United States of America. But if nothing's done about the gender wage gap, then women all over the U.S. will continue to see the loss in their paychecks. So, if any of you are or will be working in the future, it's important for you to know that the national median annual earning for a full-time year-round male worker is $51,212, compared to that of a female worker, which is $40,472, as noted according to the National Partnership for Women and Families in the article America's Women and the Wage Gap, written in 2016. The gender wage gap should be eliminated because of the negative effects it has on a woman's lifestyle and career, a family's condition of living, and is a continuous cycle that constricts children's opportunities in the future. So, first, let's discuss how the gender wage gap affects a woman's standard of living and profession. The gender wage gap reduces a woman's livelihood. American women are only making 80 cents for every dollar paid to a man, amounting to an annual difference of $10,740. Even taking into account racial differences, both African American and Caucasian men earn more than African American and Caucasian women. As noted in the academic journal, Going Back in Time, Gender Differences and Trends and Sources of the Racial Pay Gap, 1970 to 2010, written in 2016 by Hadass Mandel, a senior lecturer at Tel Aviv University, and Moshe Semino, a professor at the University of Illinois. But some people say women can change their bad luck by simply making choices in life that will ultimately ensure that she's getting the most she can from her career. But according to the chapter in Felice Schwartz and Jean Zimmerman's book, Breaking with Tradition, Women in Work, The New Facts of Life, written in 1992, states that there are three choices in which individuals exert a large amount of control over. The first being the choice of field they choose to go into, the second being the continuity of employment, and the third being investment in their careers. Although a popular idea, the wage gap cannot be explained by the choices a woman makes in her lifetime, because the wage gap is present regardless of career field. Fields that employ the most full-time employers are healthcare, social assistance, manufacturing, retail trade, and educational services, where women are consistently making less than men. Additionally, the wage gap is present within occupations. Among occupations that have the most full-time workers are sales, management, production, and office administration support. In all, women were paid less than men. Lastly, the wage gap persists regardless of educational level. Women with doctoral degrees earn less than men with master's degrees, and women with master's degrees earn less than men with bachelor's degrees. So since you know how the gender wage gap negatively affects a single woman's way of life, let's discuss how it affects mothers. The gender wage gap worsens both single and married mothers' style of living. As recorded by the National Partnership for Women and Families, the wage gap for mothers is larger than the wage gap for women overall. Mothers make only 71 cents for every dollar paid to fathers. And for single mothers, the statistics are even worse. A single mother makes only 58 cents for every dollar paid to single fathers. About 15 million households in the U.S. are headed by women, and 29% of those fall well below the poverty line. Abolishing the wage gap would help provide income to these families whose wages sustain their households. Imagine a single mom with 2 young children in need of childcare. Childcare is one of the most costly expensive that Americans have to pay for. Do you decide to send your kid to childcare and live off Kraft mac and cheese 5 nights a week, or do you decide to keep them at home for free and risk child injury or child abduction? These are the kinds of things that single mothers have to worry about. Furthermore, low wages mean families have less money to save for the future or spend on basic necessities. If the annual gender wage gap were eliminated, an average working woman in the U.S. would have approximately enough money for 78 more weeks of food, 11 more months of rent, or 7 more months of mortgage and utility payments. In the past, it was widely believed that women did not need to earn as much as men because they were not supporting a family as men were. according to the Oxford Encyclopedia of Economic History in the article Baby Boom, written in 2003. However, this earlier idea is no longer relevant in today's society because we have women who work as full-time professionals and full-time moms. So now that we have gone over the effects of the gender wage gap on a single woman's life and a single and married mother's life, we can discuss how it can influence children's upbringing and future careers. The gender wage gap constricts children's opportunities in the present and future. Some arguments have been made about the gender wage gap, which surround the difference in the number of hours in which men and women work. They argue that since men work more hours, they should be paid more. According to a report by Elias Gold and Jessica Schneider titled Women's Work and the Gender Pay Gap, written in 2016, women work roughly 35-hour weeks, whereas men work roughly 40-hour weeks. Additionally, men are also more likely to be available during particular off hours to work overtime. However, men spend only 31% of their free time doing household chores or taking care of the children, whereas women typically spend 58%. In the past and present, the majority of the domestic work has fallen on the woman of the household, as noted in the Oxford Encyclopedia of Economic History. The less time parents spend with their children at home can negatively influence their self-confidence levels, which in turn will affect their test scores. Also, with the reinforcement of gender stereotypical behaviors in the home, daughters will be steered away from careers in engineering, technology, and mathematics, even though they perform at the same level in mathematics as boys, according to Gold and Schneider. So, as our time together today comes to a close, I hope you recognize the importance of eliminating the gender wage gap because of the downward effects it has on a woman's career, a family's lifestyle, and children's opportunities in the present and future. Women changed economic history upon entering the workforce, but still have some barriers to break. So in the near future, when you go out and get a professional job, make sure you speak up and ask about your wages, because they can have life-altering effects on you and your family.